we are in an extended conversation with Fraser Whineray, who's a business leader, director in New Zealand, 7:45, about KiwiSaver 2.0. This is an idea that will be put to all political parties, but it is non-political in its nature. It is an idea to try and ramp up KiwiSaver so that we have more people saving more money so we can invest more in ourselves. Fraser, what about those people who've been watching, business owners, small business owners, people whose budgets are really tight at the moment?
Yeah.
This all sounds great, Fraser, but we can't afford this, and we cannot afford this, especially now.
Yeah, that's right. So the first thing I'd say is we need a clear destination and not lots of little tweaks with KiwiSaver, and that's part of what KiwiSaver 2 is about. So part of the transition to ramp it up takes 20 years. You can't do this quickly. Australia took more than 30 years to get to 12%. My proposal is from next year we start with the employer contributions at 2 and they just lift it 0.5% until 2047. So it has to be very slow, very predictable, very politically ambidextrous because it needs to remain. Cost of living, let's talk to that. That is actually a different policy set. I mean, you can't sort of knowingly undersave for retirement to save a cost of living issue now. We need to get the retirement savings in a good space very gently and carefully over time, but then go even harder on cost of living policies. But if we knowingly sacrifice the future to pay for today, I'm not sure that's a great strategy. But to be clear, Ryan, there's no free lunch in this. Money that is allocated into something else, whether it'll come from the employees' pay rises, will probably be slightly lower. Cost of a haircut might go up slightly, which doesn't concern me. And then you've got other things like shareholder returns might be slightly lower. That's kind of where it comes from. But the beneficiary of where that goes to is clear. It's Myers' individual account. So there is a cost to this, and that's why it has to be done carefully and predictably over a long time.
Is this the kind of thing you stop and think about because New Zealand is heading down a track that is actually quite scary?
Yes, it is.
Like third worldy?
Well, it certainly, we start to, not third world, but we're at the bottom of the developed world in the OECD rankings. And if you look at, which I'm sure you saw Ian Rennie, the Treasury Secretary's comments in January 2026, says our current policy settings are unsustainable. And so the best thing the best time to fix this is the earliest time, because the longer we leave this, it becomes impossible. And I think one of New Zealand's greatest forks in the road in its history was in 1977 when Muldoon abolished the compulsory super. We would be better off than Australia per capita now in terms of our savings.
So what you're saying is stop the tweaks, stop the politicking, get together. We say this about everything though, Fraser. We say this about infrastructure. I mean, so what are you going to do with this plan? I mean, you spent obviously a lot of your personal time on it. You've spoken to a lot of people about it. What are you going to do with it in the hope that they might butt their heads together?
Well, we'll certainly be sending in very shortly, in the next week, the policy paper. And I wanted to get all the feedback on LinkedIn and through other channels like this before we finalise that, because this has been heavily socialised. We'll send it into 7 political parties, the 6 in power, plus the Opportunities Party. And the real challenge to them is to say, you have to design this as if you're going for a 75% supermajority referendum, which means you have to design it not for your constituents, because no political party can get more than 35%. You have to design it for something like 75%, and because it needs to be durable, it needs to be trusted, and it needs to be coherent. And that's the challenge for our politicians. But in the end, they're the ones that make laws on behalf of New Zealanders. And if New Zealanders want this to happen, contact your MPs and get onto them about KiwiSaver 2.0 or something better than that, because in the end, it's the not necessarily front bench. You know, those backbench MPs, they lose their jobs if the vote goes down, so they're heavily invested in reflecting the views of society. So I think that's what we need to do. Design for a supermajority. This policy needs to last 6 elections, and then it will be embedded.
Fraser, it's been lovely to talk to you today. Thanks for bringing your ideas to the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
Welcome back anytime. Fraser Whineray with us and KiwiSaver 2.0.